Hello everybody. Today we are going to talk about different defuzzification methods used in fuzzy system design. So let's first get familiarized with what is defuzzification. Defuzzification is nothing but a process which is just opposite of fuzzification. Fuzzification was converting crisp values to a fuzzy set. So applying the opposite of that or just reverse of that, I can define defuzzification as a process of converting the fuzzy output to the crisp value. To understand this, recollect the example on the temperature of the room and the speed of the fan. In that case, we had three fuzzy sets representing the input, that is temperature. Those three sets were low, medium and high. And we had the output variable fan speed, which was represented using another three sets identified by slow, medium and fast. Okay. Now there was a rule base which had three rules stating that if temperature is low, then speed is slow. If temperature is medium, then speed is medium. If temperature is high, then speed is fast. Okay. Suppose my crisp value of the input for which I want to compute the value is 25 degrees. Okay. So at 25 degrees, what do you think should the output be? I cannot have my output as medium or slow or fast or zero point 0.6 this membership of medium. That is not going to give me the speed of the fan to be set. I need certain uh, value in the terms of the speed to set the speed of the fan. That value is something like, let's say, 150 rpm or 300 rpm. So to get this output from a fuzzy set where my output can assume certain membership from the different fuzzy sets, I have to get a single output, crisp output from that. That requires defuzzification. Okay. So to have defuzzification methods, we have different kind of methods. Primarily, they can be classified as maxima methods, centroid methods, and weighted average methods. Further, maxima method can be identified as height method, mean of maxima method, first of maxima method, or last of maxima method. Centroid methods, they can be further classified as center of gravity, center of sums, or center of largest area. Okay, so these are the important or the commonly used defuzzification methods which we are going to discuss in today's lecture. So let's start with that. Let's start with the height method. The height method, it takes the element with the highest degree of membership in my aggregated output set, and this is suitable only if exactly one element has the maximum value. Okay, so this is expressed mathematically as x star represents the crisp value to be taken for the output. So the membership of that value at x should be equal to mu x for all x belonging to the universe of this course, such that it is the highest or the maximum value. Okay, so consider this. Let's say I had two rooms, and from two rooms for the input I am getting this aggregated fuzzy output set. Okay, so my fuzzy output set, it is satisfying um, the two sets to this, and it is having this kind of shape. So according to the height method, the crisp value of the output would be the value of the element which is having the maximum membership. Let this maximum membership be H. So for H, I will identify the element which is having this membership value, that is X star, and X star is going to constitute my or be my defuzzified crisp output value. Okay, so this is quite simple. It doesn't require much of computations. Okay, but it is not very suitable if we have the aggregated output achieved or obtained from large rule base. Okay, next we have is Mean of maxima method. The mean of maxima method, as it states, it consists, it again, maxima is there, so it will cater to the highest degree of membership. But here, instead of a single element, I can take average of all the elements with the highest membership value in my aggregated crisp output. Okay, so this is my aggregated crisp output. Here, though I have this maximum membership value of 1 in my aggregated output set, but instead of having a single element, I have number of elements or number of uh, points between the interval, let be interval a and b between these 2 points. So I can just identify this as the interval a and b. So between this interval, all the points are having the maximum value of the membership or the maximum degree of membership. So I will find the mean of these values. Since it is a straight line, so what I can take in this case is I will simply take the end points. It is a fuzzy interval AB, so I can take this to be S. So this will give me the mean of maxima value for this. Mathematically, it can be expressed as for the discrete points, it is the mean of all the elements which are having the value m, where m denotes the highest degree of membership value and m is the cardinality of the fuzzy set, that is all the points in the fuzzy set which are satisfying this criteria or which are having the highest degree of membership. Okay. For the continuous sets, it can be expressed belonging to a fuzzy interval where mu x is equal to height of the fuzzy set. Okay. So this is again quite easy, and this gives me a reasonable measure of the crisp output. Quite, it is more distributed, I can say, rather than that height method. Okay, so it gives better results as compared to height method. It is both preferred. Next, we have first of maxima. First of maxima, again, it considers the highest degree of membership, but here instead of taking the mean on a single point, which is mean of that, I can consider the first point which is having the highest membership value. So in this interval, let's say again this interval is AB. So let it be A and let this point be B. So instead of finding the mean, I just consider the first element which is having the highest degree of membership as the crisp output. Okay. So the next is last of maxima. It is on the similar lines as first of maxima, but here it is the last element in the aggregated output of all the elements which has the highest membership values, and that is considered to be taken as my crisp output set. So the same example, here it is point B which has to be considered as the crisp output value of the aggregated fuzzy set. Okay, so as we have seen, all these maxima methods, they are quite simple. They do not require any extensive computations. They are quite easy. But when we are having a larger rule base or their output, the fuzzy output which I am getting, that is aggregation of more than one rules, it may actually get focused to only a single rule. So output may not truly reflect the crisp output value or the correct output value. So it is not a very preferred method, especially if there's a large rule base, but otherwise it is quite simple. That is a big advantage for them. Next we come to center of gravity or the centroid method. This is one of the most commonly used and the preferred method for the dephasification, in which the centroid of the aggregated output is actually come down. So it is also known as, you can say, the centroid of area kind of, where you are trying to divide your aggregated fuzzy set into two equal masses. So the mass by weight it is going to be divided. Okay. So it is mathematically going to be expressed as, for a discrete set, it is x into the membership value of all the elements which are there in my fuzzy set. So it is aggregation of the aggregated output, whatever I can divide over the set of values, that is the multiplication of the element and the this its membership value. And whereas for the continuous set, it is like finding out the area under the curve. So it is trying to actually find the centroid of that. So I try to identify the area under the curve, and it is weighted by the value of the element itself. Okay. So it is quite a true reflection. This method is one of the most accurately used methods which gives me good results. But again, it is quite computationally extensive, especially when there is large data base or the rule base, and the aggregated output is having more than 3-4 fuzzy sets in the aggregation. So that way it requires a lot of computations which have to be there. Okay. So I can just say that in this case, let's say I will divide my whole aggregated output into the areas, regular structures whose area I can find out. So this is a triangle, this is a rectangle, it is a trapezoid, and this is again a rectangular region, and this is a triangle. So I will try to find the areas of these. Okay. Or either you can find it by area, or you can do it by the membership values. It is going to be the same result. Okay. So I am trying to find out the centroid by dividing the aggregated output into the regular structures and finding the area under the curve of the each regular structure. Then I am going to combine together those and find the centroid of that combined structure. Okay. We'll see the examples eventually after we cover all the methods. Then we have center of sums method. This is also another efficient and commonly used method where we try to find the algebraic sum of the outputs from each constituting fuzzy set of the aggregate output. So like in this case, it is aggregation of two fuzzy sets. Okay. So mathematically it is actually expressed as this. So basically this aggregated output, it is coming from the two fuzzy sets. So let this be having the area A1, let this be having the area A2. Let's assume that centroid of this area A1 is X1 and centroid of this fuzzy set identified with area A2 is X2. So once I try to find the once I try to identify, I have identified the centroids and the areas of the individual fuzzy sets which are constituting or comprising my aggregated output. I will actually I will try to find the algebraic sum of the centroid and the of the centroid of these individual fuzzy sets. Okay, so this is less computationally intensive, little more simpler than the centroid method, and it gives me good output, good predicted value also for the output, good inferred value also. But the problem in this case is the intersecting area, that is the, so though it is a little simpler than the centroid method, and it gives me the good output also, good estimate of the output also, but still the drawback of this is that the intersecting area, let's say this was a set I was having, so this is the boundary which is common, or this is the area which is common to both. So this area under this curve which is under red, and I am trying to shade it with red, so this is common to both. So this area actually it is counted twice. So when it is a good method, a little simpler in calculation and computation than the centroid method. Okay, then we have the center of the largest area. In this, we try to find out the centroid of the region with the largest area of the aggregated output. Okay, so identify the area of the uh, in my aggregated output. What is the largest area a regular shape is going to take, and I take the area of that and try to find out its centroid. So that is considered to be my defuzzified crisp output value. Mathematically, it is expressed as this, where M stands for maximum or the largest area. Okay. So next we come to weighted average method. Weighted average method is quite similar to the center of gravity method, but it is computationally much less intensive, and it is applicable only to the uh, outputs which are symmetrical in nature, that is, they are constituted by symmetrical membership functions. Otherwise, it cannot be used. So in this case, what is happening? This is one area I'm having. Okay, let this be A1 of the fuzzy set, A which is constituting that, and let this area be A2. Now, to find the weighted average, I'll first consider A1. So what is the centroid of A1? I'll take the center point of that. Okay, I will take the membership value of that, multiply it by this. So what I get is, let's say I'm identifying it as 20. So between 10 and 30, this point should be actually 20. This is 25. So this point is centroid is actually 20. So what I will get is membership value corresponding to this is 20. So this is mu x, this is x. Then I consider the next set which is there. Here, what is the so the membership value is 0.5 here, and what is the centroid of this area? So let's say it is extending from 25 to 50. So between 25 to 50, what do I have is 12.5. So it is 37.5. So this is centroid of area A2. So I take that value and now I divide it by the membership sum of the membership values of the two constituting fuzzy sets. So this is going to give me the weighted average. So it is quite simple, but the only restriction is it is applicable to the symmetrical membership functions only. Okay. So that is one drawback. So next we move towards so this almost leads to the completion of all the important defuzzification methods. But we can also apply the alpha cut sets. I hope you all remember what are the alpha cut sets. Alpha cut sets are the ones which we had used in that resolution identity. What did it say is that for the any fuzzy sets, I can decompose that complete fuzzy set into a pile of slices where each slice is identified by a cut of the membership value of that, let that be generalized to alpha. So that implied, let's say if I have any membership value, okay, so that complete membership function can be sliced into set of series or set of crisp sets where each crisp set corresponds to a different value of alpha. So here I can have the alpha value to be 0.9. Here it can be 0.3. So basically, alpha set will include all the members of the set which are having the membership value greater than or equal to this value of the alpha cut set. So I can actually decompose into that, and same logic can be used to get the defuzzification also. But here the alpha cut is decided or derived from the aggregated fuzzy rules based on the fuzzy input for which I am computing my output. Another method which is used or which is available is bisector of the area. Just like in the centroid method, we are going to divide it into two regions of equal mass. Here we try to divide the aggregated output set into two regions of equal area. Okay, but it is not that commonly used. So we are not going to discuss much about that because already. So this is about the bisector area. It is computationally intensive than the centroid method, and it divides the aggregated fuzzy set into two halves as per the area criteria. Now let's take the examples of different defuzzification methods that are applied to a common problem. Let's say I have a fuzzy set, aggregated fuzzy set, which is formed by the aggregation of two composite sets, that is A and this two composite sets. One is having the membership value or the alpha cut or the membership cut at 0.7, other at 0.1. Okay, so first we are going to apply the centroid method. So these two are the constituting uh, fuzzy sets which are aggregated to form this aggregated output. So to apply the centroid method, what do? Is I actually divide it into the regular structures where I can find the area. So if you see clearly, I can find the area of this, I can divide it into five regular structures. First is A1, which is this triangle, which is coming at the value 2, that is the limit here is 0 to 2. Then next I have a rectangle. No, it is not extending up to this point, but it is extending at some value here. Let that value be x1. So this will be some value between 2 and 3. Let that be x1. Okay. So this is again a rectangular structure which is identified by A2. Then we have this trapezoidal area. This, okay, the one I am going to identify. So this is a slope we are having, and this is trapezoid. Here it is a non-sloping end, and here we are having the trapezoidal kind of structure. So this is identified as A3. Then we have a regular rectangle structure which is between the values 3 and 5. Okay, so between this x1 and 3 I have this trapezoid, between 3 and 5 I have this rectangle which is identified by the area A4, and between 5 and 6 I have a triangular structure which is identified by the area A5. Now let's try to find out how do we use that. So I have already done the calculation because this would have taken more time writing, trying to write on this digital screen. So for area A1, I first identify the points. There are 2 points between which the slope is there. So the first point is 0, 0. That is both x and y, they are 0. And the second point is uh, this is 2, x is 2, and this is 0.7, y is 0.7. So it is 2 and 0.7. So from that I can try to find the area of, try to find the slope. So once I have the slope, I can form a relationship between what is the uh, relation between the output y and value x. So this mu x is actually representing y. So A1 area, that is between 0 to 2, I have the slope which is governing, okay, the this you can say relation between x and y. Next we have A2. For A2, that is between this point 2 and this point x1, okay, which we have taken. So between this region there is no slope, so the value is constant, and that constant value is taken to be 0.7. So I have 0.7. So my y is fixed for all the values of x in this range. So that is taken as 0.7. Next for the A3, that is this area. Okay, between x1 and 3. So between x1 and 3, to find out, again I have a sloping region. So I have to identify the slope first. Okay, and I need to find x1. To find x1, what do I do is I first find the slope. The slope between the points is what is the these are the 2 points which are governing the slope. So for this I need to find the slope of that. So the points here are the first point for this entire slope is this is x is 2 and y is 0. So it is 2 0 and here it is x is let's say x1 no x is 3 here sorry. So at this point x is 3 and y is 1. So using that I calculate the slope to be 1. Once the slope is there I know that between this region the relationship between the values of y and x is given by the slope 1. So at this point x1 what is the value of y? I need to find out. So y is actually zero point 0.7 which I have. X is x1 and I can say x1 minus 2 that is this whole part x1 minus 2. So that gives me equal to zero point 0.7. With that I can calculate the value of x1 to be 2.7. So I identify this value of x1 to be 2.7. So once I'm having this interval, now I know that uh, for A3, the relationship between x and y is given by y is equal to x minus 2. Next we come to A4. A4 it is again a rectangular region between 3 and 4. So, yes, 3 and 4. And the value of y here is 1. So it is constant. For A5, again it is a sloping region. I need to identify the slope. So first try to find the slope by identifying the points. The points are here x is 4 and y is 1. Here x is 6 and y is 0. So this is giving me the slope and this is going to give me the relationship between y and x at these points, that is at this point. So this is what I get out of that. So once I have identified the variation or the relationship between x and y for these regions, I can easily write it that what intervals, what is the relationship. So once I have this, I can now apply the integration of the centroid method. So I apply the same integration. So it is first 0 to 2 it is 0.35x into x dx. So on for 2 to 2.7 it is 0.7 x dx. So it is simply I am putting the values in the formula according to the interval. Okay, and here simply I am going to put the values what I have received of the variation between x and y. Okay. So what I get after computing is 10.98 for the numerator and 3.449 for the denominator. And this gives me a value of 3.187. So this is a solved example from 700. You can just go and check. So by the centroid method, what defuzzified value we get or the crisp output we get is 3.17. Coming to the next method, which is the weighted average method, it is pretty simple as you've seen. Now here we have two constituting fuzzy sets, that is the smaller one which is having the smaller one. So here I am having 0.7 membership value. So first I take up this fuzzy set, that is the smaller one. So here I identify the constituting fuzzy sets and I find the centroid of each individual. So what is the centroid of this? It is extending between 0 and 4. So what is the middle value? It is at 2. So I take it to be 2. And what is the membership value corresponding to that? It is 0.7. Okay. Then I have the larger one, larger constituting fuzzy set. It is extending between 2 and 6. So if I take the centroid of 2 and 6, it comes out at 4. So that is what I take as 4. And what is the membership value? Highest membership, that is 1. So I put these values and I divide it by the sum of the membership values of the constituting highest membership values of the constituting fuzzy sets. So what I get is 3.176. So if we compare the values of centroid method and the weighted average method, you'll see they are very close. So that is why this method is quite close to centroid method, but it comes with the advantage that it is much simple in calculation as compared to centroid method. Okay, so that is quite preferred method weighted average. Next we come to is mean of maxima. This is very simple. What is the maximum membership value we are having in the aggregated output for this? That is 1. And what is the interval in which I am having this value of 1? It is between the interval 3 and 4. So it is having between the interval 3 and 4. So I simply take the limits 3 and 4 and divide by 2 and find the average. So this is mean of maximum. Okay. Next is center of sums. And as I told you, center of sums, I find the area and the centroid of the individual fuzzy sets which are constituting my aggregated output. So let A1, that is the area of this smaller fuzzy set, be given by 1 by 2 into zero point 0.7, that is the membership value, plus it is a trapezoid, so the width of the two sides, it is 1 between 2 and 3, and here it is 4. So it is 1 plus 4, and the centroid is 2. Coming to this bigger set, here again, A2, it is area is given by 1 by 2, it is there in the formula. 1 is the uh, height of that is 1, and 1 plus 4. So if I take the sides of this trapezoid, so it is between 3 and 4, so that is going to be 1, and it is the other side, the base is between 2 and 6, so the width comes out to be 4. So I can find this area, and what is the centroid between 2 and 6, that is 4. So once I found it, I can easily apply the formula and I can get the value. So if you see, this value is exactly same as the weighted average. So this also gives me very good results. So as such, the most popular methods to be used are center of sums, centroid, and the weighted average methods, because their results are quite close and they give me a good estimate of my output value. Next is the center of largest area. Now in the center of largest area, I can actually divide my aggregated fuzzy set into two sets, regular structures, whose area I can find out. So I can divide this aggregated output into two regular structures. Both are going to be trapezoids. So this is one area, this is another area. Okay. So first is I try to find the area. So A1 is the area here, A2 is the area here. So it is 1 into, so this is between what? 2.7. If you remember, this is the value of the x1. So it is 2.7 we had already calculated. So I simply apply the formula of finding the area of a trapezoid, and that is done, and it comes out to be 1.19. So 0.7 we are getting the height of that. Okay, trapezoid. This is base 1 and the other is base 2. So base 2 is 2.7, base 1 is between 1 and zero point 0.7, which comes out to be 0.7. Okay. Coming to the A2 area. Now if I see this area, so here remember, when we are going to take the areas, we have to take the non-intersecting regions. Intersection has not to be included. Intersection means I have to identify the area so that it is not included in both the sides. Okay. So if I see it clearly, it is not a regular structure here because I am having not a trapezoid here. So what I need to do is I need to break this area A2 into two parts. So I need to break it into two. Sorry, it is going just like that. So this should be actually falling at 3. So this was was quite a irregular thing in this, but still, this is going to be point 0.3 as per my problem. So I'm dividing into two parts. So this is going to be one trapezoid and this is going to be the other trapezoid. So this is my first, that is half into 1, the bigger trapezoid. 1 is the height of that, 1, the base 1, and the other values between 3 and 6, it is 3. So it gives me this area, that is this. Next, for the smaller trapezoid which I'm having, this I'm going to get the value. So this is the area for this. So what is the height of that? We'll see. The height is going to come on this side. So this point is what? 2.7. So 3 minus 2.7 gives me zero point 0.3. So this is the height. And these are the base. So base 1 is zero point 0.7. So at this point it is zero point 0.7. And the base 2, that is 1. So it is zero point 0.7 and 1. So the area comes out to be 2.25. So obviously, though it was visible, but we need to compute it. It was visible to us, and I could easily identify that this is the bigger area. But still, computationally, you have to calculate and then show that this is the largest area. So it means I have to find the centroid of this A2, that is this whole larger area. Okay. So the next step is I try to find the centroid of the largest area. So again, I already have the all the inputs required available because I have already applied centroid method. So I know first it is going to be broken into the interval 2.7 to 3, then 3 to 4, then 4 to 6. And I have already computed the slopes. So I directly apply it and the value which I get is 4.49. So it is a slightly biased value because it is removing this part or it is not using this part in the calculations. So if you remember, there we got the value using centroid method as 3.180. So it is on the higher side, it is more inclined to the largest area. So this may not be always the true reflection of the estimated value. Estimate may not be the true reflection of the desired or the required output. Okay, it is a little biased value which I am going to get. Though the computation involved is quite less in case of center of largest area. Then I have first of maxima. In case of first of maxima, it is quite simple. Identify the highest membership interval and the first of that is at which point 3. So first of maxima is 3. Coming to the last of maxima, again the maximum membership value that interval, and here I am getting the value, the last point which is having this maximum value, and that is 4. So, so with this we come to the end of our uh, lecture on defalsification methods. So it is very important, not only understanding them theoretically, but because we need to apply them whenever we are going to design the fuzzy systems. So it can be a fuzzy control system, it can be a fuzzy inference system, fuzzy rule based system, fuzzy expert system, whatever name you can give. But ultimately, defuzzification is required in all, and we'll actually apply this to the practical, you can say the numerical problems, and we'll see how they work. Okay, so all of you, please do practice on these defuzzification methods. Thank you so much.